Hey there, Stephen Hu from the AJE Journal, once again with you. Welcome to the opening ceremony of the 2021 Ego Congress. I still have the hair, I still have the shirt, I still have the bow tie, and if you're asking me where the jacket went, I would tell you that I've given up. So, I'm kidding. The only reason I'm not wearing a jacket this year is that I've realized it's super hot when I record in summer in this room. We have a lot of computers, so that's the only reason. Anyway, on a more serious note, we certainly haven't given up. In fact, on the contrary, in the last few months, we've been working very hard to make sure that this event will happen. So it's been a lot of preparation. We hope that you will have fun. It's going to be, once again, a full week of Go activities, and I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Even though I know that all of you are thinking about returning to in-person Go Congresses, and that is certainly my hope as well. This year, we cannot make it quite happen yet. However, if we are very optimistic, we might return to in-person Congresses in 2022 with the Estes Park, Colorado Go Congress. Anyway, we still have a lot of cool events planned for this year's eGo Congress. And in this opening ceremony, we're going to tell you about them. You're going to hear from the Congress Director, Steve Colburn. You're going to hear from the AJ President, Andy Okun. And of course, the Chairperson of the Board of Directors, Lisa Scott. You'll get to hear from all the tournament directors who will be running all these events, including myself. You'll get to know later. Last but not least, we have a very special roundtable discussion regarding Congress memories. We have invited a few of our friends just last night, and we've put it all together, and they will talk about their favorite stories from past year's in-person Go Congresses. So, it should be a lot of fun. But anyway, let's get things started. First of all, I'd like to welcome the director of this year's Congress, Steve Colburn, who has been working very hard behind the scenes to ensure that everything is running smoothly. Here are some cool facts from Steve himself.
I would like to start by welcoming all of you to the 2021 Ego Congress. Months in the making, time you've been waiting for Go tournaments to continue. Shortly, we'll all play again. Some Congress stats before we begin. I can't tell you how humbled we are by the response this event has received. We have had over 570 people register from 33 countries around the world. This is about 75 more people than the average in-person event, about the same as our highest attended Congress in Boston in 2016. This triples the normal amount of countries represented at an in-person Congress. We have also had a far more equitable range of skill levels among our participants. We welcome all of you and want you to know that you are always welcome at any Go event, in person or online. We want all players, from those who have just learned the rules to those who have played their entire lives, to feel welcome, involved, and like they have a right to participate.
Thank you, Steve. That's indeed very impressive. You know, one of the things about the online Congress format is even though you don't get to meet people in person, and nothing beats meeting people in person, you do get to connect virtually with various players from around the world, and they might come from different age groups and skill levels, but all of you can have a nice time together. This event is actually brought to you together by the American Go Association, so we should also extend a word of thank you to them. And as usual, every single year, our AJA president would like to welcome you to this event. So let's hear from our president, Mr. Andy Okun.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to our second AGA Ego Congress. I would like to express my gratitude to the team that put this together, including our Congress Coordinator, Lisa Scott, Congress Director, Steve Colburn, our broadcast head, Stephen Hu, and all the others, technical TDs, pro commentators, teachers, without whom we couldn't do something like this. I'm also pleased to see our preparations resume for putting on a face-to-face Go Congress. What was to have been the 2020 U.S. Go Congress in Estes Park, Colorado, will be 2022. And I really am looking forward to seeing so many of you again there and meeting folks who've come to our events just in the last 2 years that I haven't had a chance to meet yet. In the meantime, please let us know your thoughts about how we can make these online events even better. and enjoy your games. Play well, and all the best.
Thank you, Andy. Now, there is one person who has also been very important to Congress organizing. She has been our Congress coordinator, as well as the chairperson of the board of directors. I think I got that right. You know, these titles are way too long for people who speak English as a second language. Anyway, I think I got that right. Lisa Scott, and we know Lisa from last year's Congress, but this year she has also played a crucial role in making everything happen. So let's hear from Lisa.
I want to welcome you again to the 2021 EGO Congress. Although the country and the world are slowly opening up, we can see from the concerns surrounding the Olympics, which begins as our EGO Congress winds down, that we're not yet ready to host large gatherings of people from so many communities and countries in the same place. It's thus a mixed blessing that we're able to get together again for another EGO Congress. It's not the same as being in person, but it is an opportunity to catch up with old friends, meet new friends, and get to immerse ourselves in a game we love. The past year has seen a lot of growth within the AGA, as well as a lot of pent-up energy waiting to be put to use. On the AGA board level, this resulted in our first ever strategic plan, available on the usgo.org website, as well as a realignment of some of our structures to better serve the Go community, such as the appointment of Dan Ritter as our first education coordinator. On the community level, over the past year and a half, I've been amazed to watch Go clubs and chapters transition from primarily in person to primarily online, and now, in many cases, to some form of hybrid meetings. Clubs have hosted dozens of online tournaments, formal and informal, and many clubs found some way to meet online so as not to completely lose touch with their Go community. We've even had the foundation of a women's online Go club, as well as a Discord channel. Feel free to get in touch with me if you want to learn more about any of these options, many of which may be in your community or accessible from anywhere in the world. My email address is lisa.scott@usgo.org. Within the last few months, we've seen Go clubs begin to meet again in person, and we've even had a few tournaments begin to take place in person. The AGA is thrilled to see how much enthusiasm this community shows for Go, although we do urge everyone to stay aware of local conditions and to make the health and safety decisions that are right for them and their circumstances. Hopefully, by next year, we won't have to take nearly as many precautions when, finally, we are able to get together in Estes Park, Colorado for the 2022 US Go Congress. I'll leave most of the thank yous to our Congress Director, Steve Colburn, who you'll hear from next. Before I pass the mic, however, I'd really like to thank Steve for everything he's done to make this year a success. He's been working for months to transform last year's emergency, one-off event into something that can be replicated. As you might have noticed, he's also worked with our web team to add a ton of new functionality to the website, another gift that will last for years. Thank you, Steve, and I know we're all looking forward to hearing from you soon.
Thank you, Lisa. And by the way, nice bookshelf in the background there. It looks like you're ready for any TV interview at any given time. Well, speaking of bookshelves, I also have a very nice bookshelf in the background there. I have all the shirts from previous congresses that I got, and I haven't really updated it with last year's shirt because, well, first of all, I didn't get mine yet, and second, I'm just lazy. So, getting back to the topic, this will be a very exciting week for us. The Congress actually runs from July the 17th, which is today, to July the 25th. So once again, it's going to be a 9-day carnival. And during these 9 days, there'll be a lot of interesting activities we have prepared for you. Once again, in great quantity and variety. So to give you an overview of this year's Congress will be Steve once again.
As the Congress Director, it is my privilege to give you an overview of this year's Congress. We will be hosting 6 tournaments, each with a different character. You'll hear specifically from each TD in a few minutes, but I'll give you a brief overview of the events now. You can find a complete schedule on our website, gocongress.org. First, our premier tournament, the EGO Congress Open, a close cousin of their normal premier event, the US Open, will start in a few hours. This 4-round event will take place today Saturday, June 17th, tomorrow, and next Saturday. Dan Ritter and Miladinovic are the lead TDs, and they are assisted by Kat Mai and Neil Ritter. This evening, we will also hold the 9x9 tournament. This is a round-robin tournament. All players will be divided into tables that will hold the preliminaries this evening and the finals throughout the week. The tournament is directed by Eric Wainwright. Throughout the week, during the day in the US, we will also be hosting a Blitz tournament. This 4 days of play, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, and over 130 players, there are sure to be hundreds of games of Super Speed Go. This tournament is directed by Jan Boley with assistance of Catherine Z. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday nights, we are proud to offer a 4-round tournament that is focused on the double-digit cube players as well. The success of this event, with over 70 players, over the last 2 years tells me that this is a place where more events and outreach will be welcome, and we're glad to see that. This tournament is directed by Kevin Chow and assisted by Yixian Zhao. Thursday evening, we'll bring our annual Pair-Go tournament. This 2-round mini tournament gives people, male and female pairs, the chance to play in a tournament that is both competitive and cooperative, and usually results in a lot of not quite right go, since partners cannot communicate. The tournament is directed by Lionel Zhang with assistance from Andrew Zhang. Friday will show the finals of the PandaNet AGA City League. Watch the top 2 teams from the A League who have been playing throughout the year. They will be reviewed after an hour by some of our regular favorites, Michael Redmond and Chris Garlock. We have a few new events this year. Leon Chen's Tsumego Challenge will play throughout the week. Watch the reviews on Twitch throughout the week to see the day's new challenges. Stephen Hu will announce the ways to participate with this soon. We have Picture a Go Player. Attendees of the US Ego Congress include people from all walks of life, regardless of age, ability, race, national origin, immigration status, religion, gender expression or identity, sexual orientation, or other personal identity or belief. We are all Go players. This is a fun art activity where you can show your unique perspective on being a Go player. Everyone is encouraged to participate by downloading a blank logo from the Congress website. It doesn't matter if you're good at art or not. I'm terrible at art. I never did good in art class. We will encourage you to involve kids in this activity. Make sure to submit your creations via email so we can upload into our community gallery and see what being a Go player means to everyone. There are also unique prizes you can win. In fact, anyone who submits will be entered into a raffle to win a Congress t-shirt, in addition to being eligible to win prizes for the best artwork and having the chance to see your work be featured on a custom shirt. If you've been to an in-person Go Congress, you know that there is often a signed board to bid on for the end of the week. This year, the American Go Foundation is hosting a silent auction online through the week. Look for the donated items and ways to bid on the Go Congress website.
Thank you, Steve. As you can tell, we have a very exciting week to look forward to. I know that for a lot of you watching this opening ceremony right now, it can be a lot of information to absorb all at once. But don't worry, we'll try to break down each tournament by inviting the TDs to talk about details, rules, and procedures in a later segment of the opening ceremony. Now, there's something else I want to talk about. Apart from all the tournaments and competitions every year, we also have a lot of teaching, and that is being made possible by wonderful support from our professionals and amateur teachers who have come to Congress every year and continued to enlighten us with their skills. And especially, this is important for me because I am the unofficial pro coordinator. I mean, I just sent out a bunch of emails. That's all I did. Anyway, we're very happy to announce this lineup, and to introduce that will be once again Steve Colburn.
I would also like to welcome and thank all of our pros and teachers. The wide array of professionals and strong amateur teachers who agreed to work with us to make this event spectacular is astounding. These professionals and teachers were not only willing to work with us, but also proposed new events and approaches that have made the Ego Congress even better. As always, we will introduce pros in order of rank. Myungwon Kim, 9 Pro from Korea, will be doing game reviews throughout the week. Michael Redmond, 9 Pro from Japan, will join us Friday night to offer commentary on the top boards of the PandaNet AGA City League Finals. Kim Sunjun, aka Blackie, a 9 Pro from Korea, will be reviewing games on Wednesday night. Yun Kim, 8 Pro from Canada, will be reviewing games on Wednesday night as well. Leon Chen, 4 Pro from Taiwan, will be assisting Stephen Hu in his Tsumego challenge throughout the week. Ryan Lee, 3 Pro from the US, will offer lectures, game reviews, and is also playing in the City League Finals on Board 1 for the New York City team. Eric Louis, 2 Pro from the US, will serve as and will participate in our Twitch Plays Katago broadcast. Henry Yu, 2 Pro from China, is playing in the City League Finals on Board 1 for the Kanwa Vancouver 1 team. Diana Kotsegi, 1 Pro from Korea, will be reviewing games on Wednesday night. Calvin Sun, 1 Pro in the US, will be offering lectures and teaching throughout the week, as well as an afternoon session on Saturday. Stephanie Yin, 1 Pro from China, will be offering lectures and reviewing our annual Parago event on Thursday night. She'll be playing as Board 3 in the PandaNet AJ City League Finals for New York City. Hanchen Zhang, 1 Pro from China, is also playing in the City League Finals on Board 2 for the New York City team. Hanchen Zhang, 1 Pro from China, is also playing in the City League Finals on Board 2 for the New York City team. In-Song Huang, 8 down from France, will offer lectures and will join us Monday night to offer a lecture and reviews from the Ego Open. We hope you all can watch.
Thank you, Steve. Indeed, a very impressive list of professionals and amateur teachers. I guess I'm happy that we've put together everything in the last minute, because I have a full-time job now, and that really does change things. And, Congress organizing be like that sometimes. You have to improvise, you have to overcome, and you have to adapt to a fast-moving schedule. In any case, we're very thankful for their attendance. Normally, at a real Congress, this is when they would stand up and you would greet them with applause. We cannot quite do that this year. However, I'm sure that you'll enjoy hanging out with them online as well. In addition to teaching, there's another aspect of the Congress that we cannot do without, and that will be prizes. Anyway, you gotta play for something, right? There has to be motivation somehow. On a serious note, we're also very thankful for our sponsors who have been very generous to provide us with these prizes, and so we'll definitely be distributing them after Congress. Here is an overview of all the prizes and sponsors we have for this year's Ego Congress, brought to you once again by Steve.
I would like to tell you about our prizes and thank our sponsors, which are really two sides of the same coin. First, we are pleased to announce that the top prizes of the Open, 9x9, and Blitz tournaments are individual reviews from professionals. We would like to thank Guo Zhuan, who has offered again to sponsor our Q winners by offering certificates to her Internet Go School as prizes for Q players in the opening and double-digit Q tournaments. We would like to announce a set of prizes from the new Go Magic site. These will help benefit our majority 30Q to 2-Dan player winners from the Ego Open, 9x9, double-digit Q, and Blitz tournaments. We would like to thank In-Song Huang for being one of the early supporters of the Go Congress and giving lectures throughout the week. We would like to thank the New York Go Institute, along with its teachers, Ryan Lee and Stephanie Yin. You can find more information about their YouTube channel and their school on our website. Thank you, especially from all the support of the platforms that we are using, particularly the Go servers, OGS, KGS, and PandaNet. Without these three, we would not have the services and Go community we have today. Thank you also to the video and streaming platforms we are using, Twitch, YouTube, and Zoom. We would like to thank both the American Go Association for all the support that they have offered to the Ego Congress, and the American Go Foundation for the support that they consistently provide for youth and educational programs in the US. If you're interested in learning more, please visit usgo.org to learn more about the AGA and agfgo.org to learn more about the AGF. You can also donate to both organizations from the front page of gocongress.org. I want to say a last thank you, most particularly to our volunteers. I will thank all of you again in the closing ceremonies and throughout the week, but I wanted you to know that whether your support takes place behind or in front of the camera, your work is so much appreciated, and this event would not be possible without you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Steve. I know it's a bit of a cliche to say that the list goes on and on when it comes to people to thank, but it's true. I mean, at a Congress, a lot of things are happening, and we do have to rely on support from a lot of people who made this possible. So we're always very thankful for their efforts as well. Last but not least, on AGA Twitch, right here, we have provided a wonderful week of broadcasts. So it will not just be the opening ceremony. After today, you'll also get to experience a lot of nice content with us all together. And you get to be part of a live audience and ask questions and interact. So here's an overview of our broadcast schedule from Steve.
We will have a variety of events that are being broadcast on Twitch this week. Over the next week, you'll see the 2021 Ego Congress opening ceremony. You're here right now. Congratulations. A special lecture and Ego Open reviews with Insong Huang. Twitch Plays Katago with Eric Louis 2P. Random opening challenge and double-digit Q reviews with Ryan Lee 3P. Parago Top Board commentaries with Stephanie Yin 1P. Pandana AGA City League Finals, New York City versus Canwa Vancouver 1 with Michael Redman 9P. A special Go lecture with Calvin Sun 1P. Myongji University special review sessions. There'll be a pair of these, one with Yoon Kim 9P and one with Kim Senjun, Blackie 9P, and Diana Kotsegi 1P. We'll round out the week with our closing ceremonies, which I encourage all of you to watch and cheer on our winners from the previous week. These can all be found on the Twitch schedule page for the AGA channel, twitch.tv/usgoweb. And I hope to see all of you watching these this week.
Thank you, Steve, for that wonderful introduction. Now, this is my department, so I can also say something about this. If you would like to know more about our broadcasts, please follow this channel, that is AGA Twitch, twitch.tv/usgoweb. And if you want to check out a detailed version of our schedule, you can go to twitch.tv/usgoweb/schedule. On there, you'll find everything that's happening, and you might elect to get notifications from us when we go live. Now, I did promise you that we'll be talking about each tournament that takes place during the week. So, we'll be hearing from the TDs now. This might be extremely important, especially if you're attending at least one of the Congress tournaments. However, even if you miss something, don't worry. We'll be publishing all of the clips below to AJ YouTube, so you can check them out and review much later. And, of course, if you have any questions, please don't forget to contact the TDs and assistant TDs of each tournament, and they will be able to help you out.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the 2021 eGo Open. I'm your TD, Dan Ritter, and this year I'll be assisted by our good friends Milan and Devin and my brother Neil. This is the second year that we're running the Open online. It's certainly not the same as the in-person experience, but we're really hoping to capture the same spirit of friendly competition. As players, I ask that you treat your opponents with respect, play fair, and have fun. As TDs, we will try our best to ensure that everyone has a smooth and enjoyable experience. This year, the eGo Open is using Baduk Club to help with player and game management. Baduk Club is a web-based application that connects with OGS and our pairing software to improve various aspects of the tournament experience for both players and TDs. I understand that this is a new process and it might be a little confusing at first. However, we believe that once players are familiar with Baduk Club, it will really offer a better tournament experience for everybody. Baduk Club supports players by ensuring that everybody has a valid OGS account, by ensuring that games are all created with the correct settings and handicap, and by automatically connecting players with the correct opponent. No more searching through OGS for people. Baduk Club supports TDs by significantly reducing the amount of time it takes to collect and validate game results, as well as reducing human error in results tabulation. This process was a major bottleneck in last year's Open. So please stay tuned for some more information about the Open, as well as a detailed walkthrough of how to use Baduk Club to check in for the US Open. Before the tournament starts, please make sure to familiarize yourself with this information page at the Go Congress website. You can find this page by going to the eGo Congress website, clicking on the Tournaments tab, and navigating to the eGo Open page here. The eGo Open is a 4-round Swiss McMahon style tournament. It will be played in 4 rounds over 3 days. The first round is on Saturday, July 17th at 4 p.m. Rounds 2 and 3 are on Sunday, July 18th. Round 2 starts at 1 p.m. Eastern, and round 3 starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. And round 4 will be on Saturday, July 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Each player will have 1 hour of main time and 5 periods of 30 seconds Byoyomi. All games will be played on OGS. If you have any questions about how to use OGS, please check out the OGS eGo Congress Handbook, which will be linked here. If you have to skip a round in this tournament, please request a bye from me, the tournament director, as soon as you can. But no-shows are one of the biggest challenges we face when running an online tournament. So if you have to request a bye, please email me at open@gocongress.org. If you no-show for your game, you will be dropped from subsequent rounds. You can come back into the tournament if you email me. Players will have 20 minutes to show up for their game at the start of each round, and if you don't show up in those 20 minutes, you will be dropped. Handicaps for this tournament will be played at rank -2, so for the vast majority of players, this means that you will only be playing even games throughout the course of the tournament, but in some places, such as in the lower divisions, there are larger rank differences between players, and you may be playing some handicap games. The rule set, as always, for an AGA tournament is AGA rules. You can find a link to those rules here if you have any questions. By default, in an even game, Komi is 7.5 points for white. And of course, prizes will be allocated to top players in each section. I'm going to demonstrate how to use Baduk Club to get checked in and playing for the eGo Open. First, you want to navigate to this webpage. A link to this webpage will be posted to OGS before the start of the tournament, and it will also be posted to the eGo Open tournament page on the Go Congress website. Once you're on this page, you want to find the 2021 eGo Open tournament listing, and you can click the visit button right here on the right. On this page, you can see some useful information about the tournament, such as who the director is, that's me, Dan Ritter, the time settings, the rule set, and the schedule for the tournament. Here in the center is the check-in for users. If you've already created your account for the 9x9 tournament, you can go ahead and just log in. If you're a new user, however, you're going to need to register. So in this field, you need to enter your name exactly as it appears when you registered. This is the only time you will need to enter your real name into this website, and your real name will never be displayed to another user on this website. This is just to ensure that we can match the Baduk Club entry with your registration file. Here you can enter an email. This does not need to be the same as the email that you registered with, but it might be good to keep it the same just for consistency. Here, enter your OGS username exactly as it appears on your registration. And here, type your OGS password. Please keep in mind that that Baduk Club does not store this password. It's only sent to OGS for purposes of validating your OGS account. Once you have all this filled out, you can click Join Tournament. So you see it actually threw me an error there. That's because I already have an account associated with this email. If that's the case for you, then you probably need to just sign in rather than create a new account. I'm going to use a different email so that it lets me through this process. So now we're registered for the tournament. You can see here the player information card in the middle. This will tell me what round of the tournament I'm currently waiting to play in, as well as which board I'm playing at. Because this is a test account, it's showing me playing on board 1. And you can see here my username not Dan and my username here not Dan, playing as black. I'm all registered for this tournament. There are a couple of features now that you can check out now that you're logged in here. One, you have a chat room where you can chat with your opponent. The name for you in the chat room will be whichever color you are playing in this round. This chat room has a nice feature. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, or anything that you need help with before the start of the tournament, you can press this nifty button here to call the TD. This will actually send a message to me on the backside. You probably heard the notification there. And it will allow me to see people who might need help, and I'll be able to join your chat and talk with you directly. There's also a public chat room here on the left side of the screen where you can talk with other people who are playing in this tournament. Another nice feature is this games list on the right. Because this is a test account, you can't see the other players at these boards yet because nobody has signed in for them. But once players have checked in and games have started, you can actually use this games feature here to check in on the games for other boards. So you'll actually be able just to click on the board number and open up the game that they are playing on OGS directly. So once we're on this screen, we're just waiting for two things to happen. We're waiting for our opponent to show up and check in, and we're waiting for the TD to officially start the round. You can see that status here with these little information notifications. One is saying the TD has disabled your ability to start the game. This just means that the TD is waiting for players to check in and for the round to officially start. And this other one says that the game will begin when both players are ready. So I'm going to say that I am ready to play. Now you can see that the TD, so at the same time, so my opponent also checked in. You can see that's Devin here. And the TD also enabled the start of the round. So now this interface has changed a little bit. You can see there's a link here that says Open Game. You want to click this once it appears. Now that I've clicked this link, it's automatically thrown me into an OGS game with the appropriate time settings, 1 hour, 30 second, 5 minute Byoyomi, 7.5 Komi, against my appropriate opponent, Devin Fraze here, with the right colors selected. However, there's an issue. I can't play right now. This is because I'm not actually signed in. This may happen for you if you're not already signed into OGS in the same browser that you are using Badoo Club. If this is the case, you don't need to worry at all. You can just click here, sign in really quick, and it will take you right back to the game that you were playing. And now we can officially begin this match. So we'll play a few moves here just to demonstrate a game to the point where one of us can resign. Ooh, bold move.
You have won.
And now this game is over. I've won by resignation, good for me. Now I can go back to Badoo Club and I can report this result. Please make sure to navigate back to Badoo Club to report this result. This will really help the tournament directors streamline the result validation process, which is usually the largest bottleneck in a tournament of this size. Once you report this result, you'll get verification. That button will go away. The TDs will have that result on file for them to parse and pair for the next round.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Wainwright, and I'm the tournament director for the Ego Congress 9x9 tournament this Saturday. I'll be supported by my co-tournament directors, Emil Meng and Solomon Smilak. And of July 13th, there are over 100 people registered to play in the event. And registration will be open until the end of day on Friday, so I hope you'll join us. You should prepare for the tournament by going to the main Ego Congress web page, click on Tournaments, then click on the 9x9 tournament. This page has all the information you need to participate. The tournament will start this Saturday, July 17th at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern time. It's a 5-round Swiss tournament based off of ranks, and we hope to start every round on the half hour if everything runs smoothly. We'll be using AGA rules, and the Komi is going to be variable depending on the rank difference. No handicap stones will be used. So for instance, if a 7Q player is playing a 5Q player, that's a difference of 2 ranks, and the Komi will be 2.5 points awarded to white. Also, the time limit is going to be 12 minutes per player, sudden death. That means no Byoyomi is used. You have to complete all your moves within the 12-minute time period. There will be 3 divisions for non, single-digit Q, and double-digit Q. The winner and runner-ups of each division will receive an award at the end of the tournament. All games are going to be played on the OGS server, so make sure you have an account on OGS already and be familiar with how games are played there. This year, we're going to be using the Baduk Club website for pairing the players, creating games, and recording the results for each round. The games will be created automatically for you, so you don't have to enter those game parameters yourself. If your opponent doesn't show up within 15 minutes after the start of the round, they will forfeit and you'll receive credit for the win. Please make sure that you're registered for the tournament by checking this list at the bottom of the web page. Next, I'm going to show you how to use the Baduk Club website. You can click on this link here, or you can enter the address beta.baduk.club/Mac. Mac is shorthand for McMahon Tournament, which is the default tournament type. Click on the sign up button, and then you can either sign up with Facebook or Google or enter your email address and password. I've already created an account, so I'm just going to switch to login and click login. Once you've logged onto the website, locate the Ego 9x9 tournament and click visit. The next step is to join the actual tournament. This is a 3-step process where you'll sign into OGS and then link your OGS account to Baduk Club. Baduk Club will only use this information once to establish a connection with OGS. Finally, type your name in to find it in the roster of players. Then join the tournament. You should plan on joining at least half an hour before the first round starts. By that time, the first round pairings should be up and you'll be able to see your game in the middle of the screen. It shows who your opponent will be, what your colors are, and the variable Komi amount. Click the box next to your name when you're set up and ready. When your opponent is ready, they'll check their box. You won't actually be able to start your game until the TD, that's me, starts the round. I'll start it now.
Game started.
You'll see an open game message after the game has been created. Go ahead and click it. This opens an OGS window where you can see the game in progress, and Black's clock is already starting to count down. Go ahead and complete the game normally or until a player resigns or time runs out. In this case, I'll go ahead and resign.
Black wins.
Switch back to the Baduk Club website and click on Report Result. It's okay if both players click on the button. Rich has declared the winner. You can send a message to your opponent in the game chat window. On the left side of the window is a general chat room where you can send a message to the other players. On the right side of the window is a games box where you can see the other games in progress or the ones that have completed. Finally, there are several ways to get assistance if you get stuck. In the game chat window, there is a Call TD button that if you click it, you'll be entered into the help queue. In a few moments, hopefully, one of the TDs will respond to your request. The second way is by clicking the green Help Hotline button in the director's box. This will establish a live video link to one of the TDs. But you should only use this as a last resort in case the in-game chat assistance isn't sufficient for you. This has been a quick overview of the Baduk Club pairing system and the 9x9 tournament workflow. Speaking on behalf of all the TDs and everyone at the American Go Association, we hope you have a great Ego Congress this year. And I hope you make some new friends along the way. Thanks for participating.
Hello, E-Blitzers. Welcome to the 2021 Blitz Tournament at the Ego Congress. My name is Jan Boley, and I'm your TD for this year's tournament. First order of business is making sure all of you are properly checked in. Everyone that is registered through the Congress website should have already received several emails from me. If you have not received any emails from jon@airsltd.com, please send me an email so we can get you checked in. You can find another way to email me here on the Blitz webpage. Right there it says mail to blitz@gocongress.org, and that will get to me also. You can verify your status by visiting our check-in page at https://bturn.bubbleapps.io/tournament roster, which happens to be right here on the Blitz tournament page at usgocongress.org. So let's click on that. In here, we can see that people are already starting to get checked in, and people who tell me which days they can't be playing on will also have those days checked off. Now, if you're not one of the top people listed here, it can be hard to find your name. So what we can do is we can type in our KGS ID, and we can see our name show up. So let's try that. Here I've typed in IL, and I can see that the player named Ill Luck is showing up. I'll just hit return, and you'll notice that two people came up because they both have an I and an L in them, and both happen to be checked in and are playing on all 4 days. There is a slight problem or bug on the page that if you actually type in the whole name or you select the ID from the autocomplete, you get to see all the players. This may or may not be fixed before the tournament starts, so I recommend that you just type in the first couple letters of your KGS ID and see what comes up. If you don't see your name and you believe you've checked in, once again, send me an email and we'll get it straightened out. We are currently working on some tutorials on both how to start games on KGS and how to find your pairings and record your results for the tournament. This information will be put on our webpage here at gocongress.org for you to see on Sunday. Hopefully that will make Monday a very smooth day for everybody. One more thing. Some players have been confused about how to check in. It looks like on our check-in thing, on our check-in page, you can simply just check here and it'll light up. But I didn't want people accidentally checking in for other people or inadvertently marking people gone on days. So you simply email me and then I will modify those values. All right. Well, that's all I have to say at this moment. I'm hoping you all have a great e-Congress, and I'm looking forward to a very successful Blitz tournament this year. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Chow. I will be hosting this year's Double Ditch Q tournament. I will spend a few minutes right now to go over the important things of this tournament. First, I'm pretty sure that before the game or during the game, you may encounter some problems and you would like to talk to the tournament director. Here we have two tournament directors, myself and Mr. Yishan Zhou. You can contact us through the chat feature in the KGS. My KGS ID is Kevin Chow, and Mr. Zhou's ID is Yishan Zhou. Or you can email me about your questions. I will constantly monitor my email. This is the 4 rounds tournament with 30 minutes basic time and 3 times of the 30-second Byoyomi. All the game will be played on the KGS AGA tournament rooms. Later on, I will show you how to enter the KGS AGA tournaments room. The schedules for the 3 nights, or we say 3 days, are a bit different. On a Monday, we play 2 rounds. So the game starts at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 5 p.m. Pacific Time. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we only play 1 game per night. So games start at 9 p.m. Eastern Time or 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please arrive AGA tournament room 30 minutes before the game starts. This is very important as many of the players who don't know how to set up a game, or I will expect many questions arise. So we can use those 30 minutes to settle this whole thing down. Now, I'm going to talk briefly on how to join the AGA tournaments room. Once you sign on into the KGS, on the top menu bar, you click the rooms and then click the room list, click the tournaments. The first entry in the tournaments is the AGA tournaments. Now you click it, click the join, you have entered the AGA tournaments room. From there, from the pairing list, if you are the black player, then you're supposed to set up the game. You click the custom game, enter your opponent's name, and change to the AGA rule, 3 Byoyomi. Then click OK. Then you can wait for your opponent to show up. That's about it. That's all I have to say. Enjoy your game and enjoy your tournament.
Hey everyone, my name is Lionel Zhang, and I'll be the main tournament director for this year's Pergo event. Assisting me will be the tournament director from last year, Andrew Zhang. So the Pergo tournament will take place on Thursday, July 22nd. The first round will start at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, or 5 p.m. Pacific. And then the second round will start an hour and a half after that at 9:30 Eastern Time and 6:30 Pacific. So there will be 4 pairs per table, and after the first round, winners will play winners, and then the losers will play each other. If your opponents are also ready to start round 2 when you are finished with the first round, you may go ahead and start. So the time settings for this tournament will be 20 minutes main time, and then there will be Canadian Byoyomi of 2 moves per 1 minute period. There will also be handicap and komi for this tournament, which is determined by the average rank of each pair, which is called pair points. And the top boards will also follow these handicap rules. So if you go to the Ego Congress website, you can go to the tournaments page, And at the bottom, there's a Pergo tournament link. That'll bring you to a page with all the other information you need to know about the tournament. So what I have on the screen right here is the Pergo tournament page that you can find on the Ego Congress website. This page will have everything you need to know about the tournament, including all the links that you'll need, as well as time settings and rules, and etc. So the first thing you want to do is make sure that you're on the player list. So when you go ahead and click on this player list, it'll bring you to the Google Sheet with everyone who is properly signed up. If your name is on this sheet, that means you're good to go. If your name is not on this sheet, you can check on the right side, and this should tell you what we're missing from you. So the next thing you'll want to do is you want to hit the tournament check-in button, and you'll want to do this sometime before the tournament actually starts. This will let us know that you're still available to play in the tournament. So all you have to do is put in your username, and then hit the yes button. And then after that, when you go back to the player list, you'll see that your name has turned green. And then when your name is green, that means you've successfully checked in and you'll be on the pairing list. Before the day of the tournament, you'll want to make sure you have the latest version of Go Panda 2. So you will first want to uninstall any old versions of Go Panda 2 from your computer, and then you can go to this link to install the latest version of that. So on the day of the tournament, you'll want to go back to the player list sheet. This will also have a sheet that includes all the pairings down here. So when you click on that, that'll have a list of all the players that are playing in the tournament. So I'm going to scroll down to the bottom here that I'll be using as an example for this video. So under the round 1 column, I'll be able to see who my first opponent is. So in this case, round 1, I'll be playing against pair number 58, 58, which would be right down here. This will also tell me what color I'm playing, as well as the handicap and komi for this round. So once you have seen this information, you can go ahead and open up PandaNet, and you want to log in. And after you log in, you'll be able to join a room called US Ego Congress Pergo Tournament. And then you can go ahead and click on that, and that'll bring you into the room with all the other Pergo players. This is so that it'll be much easier for you to find your partners as well as your opponents. So once you're in this room, you can go ahead and you can go and friend your partner if you like, so that that'll bring them to the very top of the list. So once you're ready to play, you can go back to the home screen, and then on the right side there will be a Play Pergo button. And we want to change the type to Choose Players. And here you'll want to make sure that the time settings are set correctly. So in our case, main time is 20 minutes, minutes per period is 1, and then stones per period is 2. So once you're done with the time settings, you can go ahead and enter the usernames of all the players. So in this case, I am playing as white, and my partner will be player number 2. And then the opponent is black. So player 1, which will be the one under the female column. And then black 2 will be the male player. Okay, and then you can go ahead and click OK. And that will send the game request to all the other players. And every other player will get something like this that'll show the game challenge. So once everyone has accepted the game challenge, that'll bring you into the game. And then on the black player's screen, they will have the choice of choosing how many handicaps. So in our case, that would be 5. So at the bottom of the screen, there will be a Tools button. And under there, you'll be able to change the komi to whatever it needs to be. In our case, the game will be reverse 6 komi, so I'll put a -6. After that, the opponents will also get a little window to accept. Great, so then once that's said, then you're free to start the game. So at any point during the game, if you would like to resign, there's a resign button at the bottom here. And out of courtesy to your partner, it might be a good idea to ask your partner first if you would like to resign. So if the game does happen to go until the very end, then you can click on the pass button at the very bottom when you want to count stones. So the game will end after 3 consecutive passes. And once that happens, you'll be able to remove the dead stones. So in this case, we'll click on all these white stones here. And then once you're done with that, then you can click on the done button. Great. Once everyone has clicked the done button, then the game will be over. So once you're done with your game, you'll want to go back to that Google Sheet. And here you'll be able to record the results for that game. So in this case, black won, so black would put a W here, and then you can put an L here for your opponent. And then once the other 2 pairs have done the same, so let's say, for example, this pair lost, and then this pair won, your opponents and the settings for the next game will populate by themselves, and then you can start the next round whenever you and the next pair are also ready. And then once you're done with round 2, you can go ahead and do the same by marking the results here. And at the very end, this will tell you your final placement for that table. So at the end of your game, if you would like to do a review of the game, you can go back to the home screen. And then you can go over to the right side and click on Start Review. You can change the type to Last Game. And then hit OK. So this will open up the game that you just played, and an invitation will be sent to your opponents as well to join. That's all you need to know for this year's Pergo tournament. I hope you have fun and enjoy your games. On the day of the tournament, if you have any questions, you can email us at pergo@gocongress.org, or you can message me or Andrew inside of PandaNet. My username is Tarquin, and then Andrew's username is MustWin. Or you can join the Ego Congress Discord channel, and I'll also be online there.
Thank you, everyone. As you can see, running an online tournament takes a huge effort because you have to set up so many online forums and websites. It's not easy, you know? So when you do get a chance, please say a thank you to your TD for making everything happen, because they really deserve a lot of recognition for what they do behind the scenes. Now, when it comes to hosting online tournaments, there's something that we don't really want to talk about, but have to talk about regardless, and that is the issue of fair play. Of course, we cannot see over your faces because this is such a large online congress, but nevertheless, we ask you to complete each game with honesty and integrity. However, what happens if you see a suspicious game that you feel like has been kind of fishy? Well, we do have some procedures for that, and here to explain will be our AGA chairperson of the board of directors. I did it once again. Lisa Scott.
As you may or may not be aware, there has been a rise in AI use during online games and tournaments over the past year. We know of some games that have been reported, and we know that there are probably many more that were not reported for a variety of reasons. First and foremost, we want to urge everyone to avoid using AI or aids of any kind during their games. Using these tools is against the rules and will not be tolerated. These games are intended to provide a fun opportunity for folks to try their skill against each other, not an opportunity for AI to play a perfect or more perfect game. So, what should you do if you suspect AI use during a game, and how will it be dealt with? First, report your suspicions and your proof or reasoning to the TD immediately. This should happen during the game or immediately afterward. Remember, however, not all good moves are done by AI, so make sure that you have good cause for your report. Reports must be made to the TD before the next round. 2, the TD and volunteer experienced TDs will take all reports seriously and review the game or games in question. For Ego Congress tournaments, there will be no appeals committee. For future tournaments, rules will be forthcoming. Third, the TD's decision is final. The TDs will make a determination about whether or not the game will be recorded as reported, or if the game will be voided in the tournament. And fourth, No discussion of suspicious games should take place in public forums, such as social media platforms, and it is against the AGA's code of conduct to do so. We expect all players to show respect for each other and not denigrate each other's character in public. Remember, please be kind, play your games without aids, and remember to have fun while making it possible for everyone else to enjoy the Ego Congress as well. We know that this will be a great event. We look forward to having you here, and we wish everyone the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Now, before we move on to the next segment, there is something I'd like to bring to all of your attention. And, by the way, something I'd like you to participate in, which is Leon Chen's Tsumego Challenge, hosted by me. I get to say it because I'm the MC, right? In all seriousness, though, this is something we've been working on for a very long time, and I hope that this event will be meaningful to those of you who plan to join. Overall, the Tsumego Challenge consists of 40 Tsumego, or life and death problems, of varying difficulty, generally ranked from the easiest to the most difficult, and as a new side event of this year's Ego Congress, the Tsumego Challenge is designed to encourage all Go players to participate in problem solving, improve their reading skills, and discover new methods and strategies which may help transform their game to the next level. There will be 5 puzzles every day, 1 puzzle of each level will be posted, and participants have most of the day to work on the puzzles, submit their answers, and optionally provide a brief justification of their thought process. Solutions will be posted every evening during the live broadcast on the official AGA Twitch channel, and the best challengers will be rewarded with free copies of Leon Chen 4Dan Pro's original Tsumego collections. You should note that this challenge is open and free to all Go players. There is no sign-up required. Simply submit something to the Google Forms, which will go out every day on the official website, and that should be enough. However, please also remember that your individual submissions should only consist of your own work. Remember that the purpose of this challenge is to encourage personal growth, which is far more important than just getting the correct answers. Please be aware that you'll be judged according to the following criteria. First of all, correctness of answers. Of course, higher ranked players are expected to solve more puzzles than lower ranked players, so both groups have equal chances to win prizes. Second of all, completeness of answers, meaning that we are looking for a full sequence of moves from both sides rather than a single correct first move by black. Last but not least, I invite all of you to write an optional justification for each of your answers. Those who successfully demonstrate their thought process and critical reasoning will reap the most benefits from the challenge. A correct solution might not be reached on the first attempt, but logical thinking can help eliminate unlikely options and reduce the problem to a smaller situation. And even after solving a puzzle correctly, it is still worth taking time to examine the other non-optional branches and find potential refutations. That has been a brief overview of Leon Chen 4Dan Tsumego Challenge, and here comes the special program we've all been waiting for. At the opening ceremony of each year's Go Congress, we tend to have an opening keynote or a roundtable discussion about something. Last year, the topic was AI and the rise of AI. This year, we want to do something that's less controversial. Anyway, we came up with the idea that people should talk about their favorite memories from past congresses. Now, of course, some of you have attended a lot of congresses, even decades of congresses, and for some of you, you might have not been to a real congress yet. But whether you're a veteran or a newcomer, there's always something exciting about the prospect of hosting an in-person Go Congress. It's magical, you know? That's why we're brought together every single year, without exception. So, never before seen, and I'm not making that up, I've actually not seen this video at the time of this recording. To conclude the opening ceremony, let's hop on a time machine and listen to some stories from the Congress.
Welcome. Tonight we're going to have a discussion about what it's like to be at the in-person Go Congress. We have Keith Arnold and Sathya Singh, who have been to many, many Go Congresses. if you've never been to a Go Congress before in person, it's not quite like the online event. There are hundreds of more friends and people to see and things to interact with throughout the week. It just, while having an online Go Congress is great and it's brought many of us together in the pandemic times, it just doesn't compare to what happens in person. And I hope their stories will drive you next year to come to Estes Park in Colorado and join us at the 2022 Go Congress that's there. Keith, Sathya, tell us about the Go Congress in person. What's it like?
Thanks, Steve. You know, the Congress has been the favorite week of my life since they've begun. I was fortunate enough that the first Go Congress back in 1985 was at my alma mater. I had graduated, but I still had one friend who was able to sleep on his floor and started my streak of going to Go Congresses. And at the time, of course, it was just an absolutely unique experience in this country. I'd never been able to play Go every day, all day, with lots of people for an entire week. I mean, now you do have the ability to do that online, but then, you know, I had to drive to get the 3 Go clubs a week, drive all over my area in order to play 6 games a week. So the Congress was really, really special. And once you go to a Congress and you meet people, even people like Sathya, you just are going to keep. You're just going to keep coming back. The Congress has changed over time. The first thing is it's gotten bigger. There were 60 people at the first Congress. I think Steve just mentioned in the sound checks that we've got 580 registered for this online Congress. But you know, it doubled by the second year to 120, and it's you know, got bigger after that. The other difference that only us old folk know is originally it was 2 tournaments. There was a Congress tournament from Sunday through Friday, and then the organizers were crazy enough to do a 5-round weekend tournament when that was over. Usually either the Eastern or the Western championships. Finally, saner heads prevailed, and they decided to extend the Congress tournament 1 round and do away with the weekend tournament so that the whole thing could go smoothly. But the other thing that changed, and this is going to be a cue for my partner in crime to chime in, is there were no kids at the first Go. So as someone who came, and I was, of course, a grown-up, so I can't tell this story, but Sathya can talk to us about what it was like to be a kid and what it is like to be a kid at a Go Congress.
It's crazy that you mentioned that, with that you know, older Congresses didn't have as many, you know, kid participation, because I don't know, my first Congress was in 2008. I think I was like 12 years old at the time, and I was very much afraid. It was in Portland, and I live in the Midwest, so it was definitely like the journey to get there, right? Didn't know what to expect. I'd been playing Go for like 7 to 8 months. And I knew that, like, because I was a diligent young lad and I wanted to know what was ahead of me experience wise, right? I was going to be going across the country for this event. Besides for my love of Go, I needed to know what I was getting into. And so I checked out online, like I studied the available tournaments religiously. Of course there's the open, but like, you know, there's the blitz tournaments. There's like, you know, a whole bunch of different crazy Go night and like a variant Go night basically. But what didn't actually catch my eye until I actually arrived at the event was the youth room events. So basically for every adult event, right? So tournament wise, so like a DDK tournament, 9x9 tournament, 13x13 tournament, there was a youth room equivalent, and that even stretched to pair Go. So basically, you know, being in the unique position of being 12 years old, way out of my depth and just surrounded by Go, which I loved, right? And I do love very, very much. I was suddenly immersed in double the fun. Not only could I participate in like the open, you know, 13x13, all these tournaments, I could also do the youth room variants, which are only open to youth, except for like, you know, the youth adult pair Go, and there's some crossover there. But so yeah, like when Keith said that there were no there were fewer kids in the first congresses. That's shocking to me because even in 2008 and every subsequent year that I've been there since, well, what I was still technically considered a youth, the youth room is like all of my fond memories basically at Congress. Of course, there's plenty of other things, but for me, what stood out most was the youth because I attended Congress as a youth. And so Paul Barchelon was the head of the youth room, and there was not basically a non-lively moment in that room. Like the decibel volume, like the decibel limit in that room was at least 10 to 12 decibels higher than anywhere else on the campus that was hosting the event.
It's undeniably a great opportunity for kids. Those of us that are passionate about this game and trying to get our children interested, there's nothing like putting them in a situation where they're surrounded by kids their
That's
age.
Right. I felt a lot more comfortable for that.
To really lock in the interest of the game. I mean, and in the face-to-face Congress, in the e-Congress, you don't know how old the people you're playing are, but believe me, old folks like me, we smile as we groan about playing another kid, and usually it's great for the game, it's great for the future, and it ruins our day. So you found yourself traveling alone, didn't know anybody there, and you still had a great time?
Yeah, so 2008, I didn't know anyone there. The people I met there were instant best friends, because that's the beauty of attending a Congress as a child, is children, just make friends just by being around people. Inadvertently, you'll just make friends. And I met some people there that I still know today, like Julie, for example. But I met Takamiya Masaki there, and all these other starstruck things. But yeah, as a kid, and in 2008 and in 2009, 10, 11, 12, all these congresses that I attended as a youth. In fact, I only attended one in 2018, that not officially as a youth. It's crazy. It's like the rodeo circuit a bit. It's just as hectic as when you first arrive, but you soon find fast friends, and then you meet them on the circuit the next year, the year after. And even if you miss a couple of years, it doesn't matter. It's always like riding back on that horse. It's you just like a fish to water. You'll all be best buds again when you see each other. It's a treasuring experience.
Well, in fact, that's what Congress actually means. It doesn't actually mean name calling and gridlock. In fact, it means a coming together of people, a gathering, and that's exactly what the Go Congress has been for me for the entire history of the Congresses, and it is. There's just nothing like seeing people you haven't seen, catching up. There are people that it would be, a minor disaster if I didn't play one or two games with them each year from all around the country. And everybody has their favorite events and their other events that they don't worry about. And of course, the pros. I mean, I will never forget. The first Congress, we had Rin Kai Ho or Lin Hai Fong, depending upon how you want to pronounce that. He came to that Congress. That was the first time, of course, I met Nakayama. And then I remember the second Congress, it was Sakata and Michael Redmond. That was, I mean, to meet Sakata was just incredible. That was the first moment where I really saw the real depth of the game. At that point, at the second Congress, I was a 5Q. I was a very strong, fast improving 5Q, if that makes sense. And so at that point, I was already, playing people who showed up at the club. And I started to be able to give people 9 stones who are actual players. And those players, and don't make fun of 14Qs. 14Qs do a lot of the work in this organization, and they do there are a lot of the first games that a lot of beginners have, and those 14Qs can give people 9 stones. So here I am as a 5Q, and I see Sakata sit down for a teaching game with Charlie Ha, the strongest player in the country, who could easily give me 9 stones, and Charlie is taking 2 stones or 3 stones, I can't remember, from Sathya, with the entire, Congress just stopped watching them. And Sathya is spending most of the game out for smoking breaks. And Charlie Ha is just helpless. He's just helpless. And I just couldn't believe that there was this wonderful and fascinating depth of strength from the beginner to the double-digit Q player to me to an ordinary 6 dan, and then Charlie Ha, who could give him 3 stones, and now Sathya is giving him 3 stones, and Sathya at that point was past his prime. And we're not even going to talk about the computer programs that were lying in the future. It just, to witness that, it's nice to watch a game online live, but to actually be there in the room and see the moves register on both players' faces is just, that's the experience you don't have online.
So a little bit to piggyback off that, experiencing Congress as a kid, when I first learned Go, learned about Go is through Hikaru Go. I thought it was a fictitious game. I didn't think it was a real game. I thought Yumi Hotta made up this thing to, market and promote. We see imaginary games, right? I thought it was one of those. By chance, I saw it being played in a local cafe, and they're like, "Oh, this is the Go Club," and I'm like, "Wow, it's a real game, right?" But to get from there into 1 year later to an in-person Congress that was Portland, and then when you're a kid and obsessed and in love with the game, you look at everything around it. You basically find role models in it. And at that time, Takemiya Masaki was one of those role models, right? The cosmic Go player. What a cool, wonderful, inspiring name, right? This person played unorthodoxly and, beat the top and was a top player at the time, or for a time. And one thing about the Congress is, to piggyback off your idea of have the DDK to SDK to, normal Dom player to strong Dom player to a pro that was even past their prime, but certainly very strong. It's that whole stratum, right, of different Go strengths and different Go backgrounds as well. I've one of my fondest memories was with a former Insei, right, who was just became a college student and then was participating in the Go Congress because, hey, why not, right? And meeting professionals that I would later become really, really, really good friends with, like Maeda Sensei, for example, who does the Osaka Go camp I've attended. And so you make these contacts, and I'm not saying, go to a Go Congress, become friends with the pro and badger them to let you do the stuff with them and everything. But that exposure, to the whole, experience of Go, not only do you see fellow beginners, fellow kids, fellow, DDK struggling along with you, you also see the creme de la creme, the professionals, and they're giving you lectures and teaching games and all of these amazing activities in which you can interact with them. I think Takemiya Sensei was salsa dancing in 2008. Right. It's just, you get to see not only the Go professional, but the Go professional that's a person, and I think that's really a once in a lifetime, well, hopefully more than once in a lifetime event.
And make no mistake, you make real connections with these folks. I mean, I can remember Jujo, Chinese professional, used to hold workshops in Cleveland, husband of Ray Na Wei, of course, who's a strong player very strong player playing in Korea. He would come up to me and say, hey, where's this person? I haven't seen him, and where's this person? Really, it was the same experience from Congress to Congress for the pros. They made friends, and they wanted to know how we were doing. And Charles French, who has since passed away, was a guy he always, I remember him saying, where's Mr. French? I want to play a game with Mr. French. And Mr. French was a Q player. No, but it was, there was a real connection. I mean, it was, when Nakayama and it turned out not to be his last Congress. It was his second to last Congress, I think, but he really thought it was going to be his last one where he was going to come. He pulled me aside to play an even game. And I was, trembling at the honor and of course, knowing what the result was going to be. I knew that I was going to win by 1 point, and I knew it wasn't gonna be my fault. And no matter what I did, to try and increase this small lead, the game just flowed. And sure enough, got to the end, 1 point win. I'm like, gosh, dang, how does he do this?
So strong.
But so strong.
Oh, so strong. Ending on.
I don't remember the number of stones, but the point was, he was giving me a gift. He was giving me a teaching game, and he was giving me a gift, and it was a goodbye on the board. And just can't reproduce those memories. I mean, his lectures every year were just particularly when translated by Yoshi. Not that Mr. Nakayama really needed the help, but they were a good team. And those are some of my fondest memories of Congresses were his lectures. And of course, the other teaching professionals we have, Mr. Yang, who became my teacher, Mr. Maeda, who's a huge favorite over the years, and others are come back year after year and have their favorite students, and of course always looking for new ones, always new ways to learn.
We've really been blessed by the number of pros that have come over to the U.S. as well.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think it's just not been that many years ago that it's been 10 years. 10 years ago in the Santa Barbara Congress was Ha-Jin Lee's first Go Congress. Or maybe it was the second Go Congress, but it was one of her first, still living in Korea. Still, she was a pro, and now she's being a leader for the American Go Association, the North American Go Federation, and it's like now we have more pros than ever in North America living here, but we still get so many overseas pros that come over and join us and join the fun to see and learn from.
I think I mentioned that before as like part of like the holistic experience of the Go Congress, but I want to really stress how rare that is, right? That we have such a Congress of professionals, right, coming to the United States for a week from all over the world. That's not even, a feat that's managed by the European Go Federation. Like even their European Congresses, which are wonderful, of course, but they don't have professionals flying out to them, and all these simuls and tournaments and everything. It's the U.S. Go Congress, I was flabbergasted, much more so like my first year there in 2008, but certainly every other year, that not only were there many professionals, and they were also varied from different countries and different experiences, like, and especially in like 2012 when we had our first like pro qualifications exam, like, that was quite an intense experience. I think Myongji Kim was there and everything, and these are like truly integral parts of the Congresses.
I think what people also need to understand is the contact you have with the pros at the Congresses is a truly unique experience. I mean, people in Asia do not get that kind of experience unless they are, literally working for a top company, and one of the perks you got as an executive is a pro comes in and gives a couple teaching games once a month. You don't get a chance to just sit down and watch a review at a table, or listen to a lecture, or get to play a simultaneous game. I mean, that's really, really a lot of fun. And I'll never forget I won't name the pro, but at the third Congress, I was 2Q-ish, playing, pros playing 10 people at once. And for some reason, the first night I met this 5-dan Japanese player in a team go event, and he's watching my game because, he didn't get a seat at the table, and he met me and he's watching. And it got to the point where the game had gotten kind of, and so I was like, I guess it's getting about time to resign because I'm not going to beat the pro in the end game. I'm a 2Q or 1Q or whatever. And I let him go past once, which, just for those of you that haven't been to a Congress, that's really, really rude. You're supposed to play a move every time the pro comes by. I mean, he's doing a lot of walking, he or she. But I just, I was contemplating resigning, and I saw a cut. I read out a sequence where I could cut, but I needed to have a stone in this place. And the stone just happened to be, the move just happened to be kind of have the appearance of a slack 1Q endgame move. It just looked like a bad move. And I played it. And the pro immediately responded someplace else. And this Japanese 5-dan must have jumped out of his seat. He's like, oh, and I made the cut. And the pro looked at me, and of course he instantly saw it. And he goes, And he goes around once, comes back, we played out the sequence, and he resigned.
Wow.
I mean, it was mostly, a tribute to the fact that he's playing 10 people at once. But it was a little bit to the fact that I was able to read out something clever. But, he didn't really mind. And I certainly was thrilled. And the 5-dan thought I was some kind of a genius. And if he'd remembered the night before, he knew I wasn't. But that's the type of experience that you can get at the Congress that is just priceless. I know, Sathya, you've talked about one of your favorite events at the Congress. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So one of my favorite events at the US Go Congress was called Midnight Madness, and particularly the Midnight Madness that was hosted or TD'd by Martin Lebel, I think AGA 5-dan, and particularly in the years Colorado Springs, I think 2010, and Santa Barbara. And I have never played so much Go in the span of midnight hours than I had in those two congresses. Like, I remember, so there's a Congress hall, and more often than not, there's a separate hall like for dorms or whatever, and they'll normally have like a common area where you can play Go. They'll have Go boards or like a strong players room, something like that, where the tournament would be held. And particularly in Santa Barbara, I remember that we went there like maybe like 11:30, coffee in hand, because we were like hard kids. We had our coffee ready to start the midnight tournament exactly at midnight, and we played whatever the one round is. But I remember falling asleep on like a really nice thick goban that was used in the strong players room, because I had been playing from midnight to like 6:30 in the morning, and the sun rose horrendously early in California that year. And so it was already like, bright out at 6:30. I was fast asleep. And I think one of my friends, Bijan, had to wake me up for the next round that morning. And this was just one night, mind you. The Midnight Madness is not just one night, right? There's a whole, brutal week of this. And the same in Colorado Springs. It was I just really like it because it's like a little bit separated from the main hall, but you have like your regulars, right? Like going back to that, feeling of community and family and kinship, right? You have like the regulars that you meet, during the Congress, during the Blitz tournament, during the weekend, or like, the Wednesday, day off, but they don't want to go on the tour for whatever reason. You have those old faithfuls.
Tournament.
Right. And the Die Hard tournament, that's right. You have your old faithfuls that you can meet at these tournaments. And we had one like, we had the same for like the Midnight Madness tournament. So it was really just this, it was really endurance based. Like, one does not simply play in the Midnight Madness tournament hosted by Martin Lebel, right? This was the commitment. You knew you were, endangering your immune system, but it was all for those, all for that tournament. It paid off.
Let's not bring up endangering the immune
system. That's fair. Okay, let me repeat that.
People to come to a face-to-face Congress.
Sure. Let me repeat that one.
Let's not go there.
Okay.
It's exhausting though, right? Because you've been playing those since 9 a.m.
Right.
And then you start the Midnight Madness at midnight. So it's basically, you've done 12 hours of Go, plus a couple hours extra, maybe. Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, let's play more Go.
That's right. Yeah, so what we would all do is we would, have our old faithfuls and we would meet at the Midnight Madness hall like a little bit early, get some idle chit chat, banter in, and then, off for exhausting week of Midnight Madness. And I would never trade that for the world. Those are some of my favorite memories of the Congress.
Well, you missed the official start of that tournament only by a couple of years. I think
Darn.
the first year they actually officially had it was 2007.
But okay.
In fact, the first Midnight Madness event happened in the first, for really probably the first 5 years of the Congress, back in the 80s, before lawyers like me got a hold of the Go Congresses and you could keep the playing room open all night, not shut it down at ungodly hours like midnight or God forbid 11. There were two important players in US Go. Robert Ryder from Bell Labs, the strongest player in the country. I would say Caucasian player in the country. There was a time where I don't think there was another Caucasian in the country that could play him at 2 stones. I mean, he was just absolutely strong. And Harry Goncher, who was a professor of mathematics at Rutgers, I believe. And they were both quite old when the Congresses started. And for the first 2 or 3 years, there were many times when I would see them in the playing room when everyone else had left and they were playing a game. And I, of course, being somewhat young and serious, would try and get to bed at a reasonable hour. But I would also get to the playing area early. Not being a breakfast person, I would head straight to the playing room and they would still be sitting there and they would have played all night. Except they were still somewhat rested for the game because invariably one of them was asleep at all times. So basically one of them would be asleep at the board and his opponent would be staring at the board, lift a stone and whack. And he would wake up and he would start looking at the board and the person who just whacked the stone would slowly fall asleep. Until, of course, he found the proper response, whack, and that person would wake up. And so they played, I would say, 2 or 3 rounds a week that way during the course of the week. So I always call that the original Midnight Madness tournament, but there were only the 2 contestants. So that's my Midnight Madness story. I never actually played. That's an event that I have not played in at the Congress.
You should totally. We'd love to have you.
Yes, well, someday. There are people that play in all the side events and don't play in the open. People who like to play in the Midnight Madness and sleep in or go for a run in the morning. There's lots of things you can do to vary your schedule. And there's lots of things for families to do, Julie. But for the first several Congresses, I was a single guy. But when I met my wife, she was quite content to travel and rent a car and sightsee and, get together later in the evening and go out to dinner and so forth. Families come and there's of course the day off activities, but you can adjust your schedule to play. What you can't do is, play a couple games in the Lightning tournament and get back to work like in an econ. You are pretty much committed to playing Go and actually getting away from it all, which in my opinion is superior. But unfortunately, we are a little, and fortunately, we are a little bit more connected now. I'm a practicing attorney and worse, a litigator. And it's blocking out a week to do something like that back in the days where you weren't so connected was truly daunting. But I can assure you that it's been worth it every time. I have seen, and quite frankly, it's been useful. My daughter, who doesn't really play, but she's been to so many Congresses with us, it was very useful, quite frankly, when we were doing college tours. She knew what it looked like. She knew what a dining hall looked like. She knew what a student center should look like. And she was immediately saying, well, I like the one in Colorado better than this. Oh, this dining hall doesn't look like it's as good as the one that in Millersville. This is actually not true. The one in Millersville probably wasn't better than any ones we looked at recently. But you know, I mean, it's been great for it was great for her to have that experience, and it's great for kids. And that's the thing about the game. You know, we play online, and it's great. I mean, I play online all the time. I'm not cutting down online, but you know, there are bad experiences online. There's some manners issues, and you know, you don't have that face to face, you know, and you really get to meet people, and you get to meet, you know, people of all ages. I mean, you know, Sathya, and I keep throwing out to Julie, you know, I mean, the two of them combined ages are younger than me, but we are truly good friends. I mean, Sathya is like one of my favorite Facebook posters, which I don't know if makes him look like someone who shouldn't be doing that at his age, and defines me at my age. But I mean, you know, you become really good friends, and you know, your children, you know, have an opportunity to interact with people and become true friends. I mean, Eric Louis, one of our great professionals, has been a friend of mine, a true friend of mine, not a kid, a friend of mine since he's been 5, since he was 5 years old. We were not, you know, it was not me and this kid. It was me and my friend Eric. And it's, you know, a friendship, of course, that has continued. And it's good, I think, for young people to have those types of interactions. One of the failings, I think, of our, lack of a better term, Western society is interaction across the age groups is not what it should be. And I think those are invaluable experiences for young people. And they're also invaluable experiences for their intellectual development, to have conversations, language development regarding this abstract game. It's all extremely, extremely valuable. This is more pro-Go than Congress, but again, Congress and tournaments is where that has to happen. Because online, the person who lost has gotten angry and logged off before any of those conversations.
So you look at so many e-journal pictures that get put out during the week or put out on Facebook on the Facebook page, and there's so many from Congresses that are not like, oh, here's one age group of people, and that happens sometimes. But there's so many, especially like the Lightning tournament or the Pergo or you know, all sort any tournament really is. There's every age is sitting across from each other, next to each other. You know, there's not a lot of just swaths of youths unless you're in the youth room. But there's every sort of person, age. You know, doesn't matter who you are. You're all just there to play a fun game and interact with each other. And it's a way to you can review without knowing the same language as well, and just have a good time.
Yeah.
Right, and it's you know, playing a game of Go, a serious game of Go, face to face, is just the best. I had this conversation in an interview with Kevin Wang, and I'll tell it before. You know, online is great. We're able to have this e-Congress, and it's fantastic. And obviously, access to opponents from all around the world has increased the strength of our players, which is obviously wonderful. And the fact that the game is saved and you can review it with the review functions, at least on your own, or maybe show it to a friend, is also great. And I've had a couple of people though say to me, yeah, and you know, what's really great is you don't have to pick up the stones when you're done. You know, they're just gone. And at that point, I always stop them and I say, yeah, well, that is the worst part of playing Go online. And they'll look at me like I have two heads, but you know, when you play a game of Go face to face and it ends and you count, and someone has won and someone has lost. And in some cases, someone might not be as happy about that result as they should be. Online, they might say something rude and go, might not say thank you and go. But at the Congress, at a tournament, face to face, by the time you've picked up the stones, you're laughing with each other again. You've made a connection. It's a cooling off period, if you will. The first couple stones might get thrown in the bowl with a little bit of violence, but by the end, you're saying, yeah, that was too bad what happened over here. Would you like me to show you that? And as much as the person wants to just, walk away, you can't help yourself. Sure, go ahead. And then suddenly you're laughing, and the experience is good for both players, winner and loser. And somehow, for me at least, that doesn't happen online as easily or as well. Sometimes it does, but that's why we really hope that we'll see all of you in Colorado in 2022 for the next and overdue face-to-face GoCon.
Well,
I'm nice.
Go for it, Julie. You go first.
I'm Julie Burrall, and this is my maybe 24th or so Go Congress, because Ego Congress counts. And I'm here with Lisa, who I met at a must have been the Go Congress 15 years ago.
Yeah, my first was Lancaster in 2007. So I think you played, some people from your family played in the women's tournament that year.
I might have.
I just don't remember, because that was when I met everyone who did not live in Baltimore. So.
Yeah. Actually, I'm curious then what it was like for you to join in. It's just so different for me because I grew up in it. So I just don't remember it not being there. So what is it like to join the community at Go Congress?
Well, so I'd learned how to play Go about a year and a half earlier, and I'd in college, and I'd started going to club fall of 2006. So I knew people in the tournament scene in Baltimore, DC, which is not no one. And then, I don't know, my first day, I'd literally come back from Spain the day before and was jet lagged and literally took a nap during my first game because I couldn't help it. But I knew enough people. There were plenty of people I met, like Andrew Jackson, who I had met previously, still didn't become friends with until 2 years later. But I feel like I met, 200 people that first week, and it was super overwhelming, but in a good way. In a, okay, I guess I'm going to be doing this every year way. So the next summer was in Portland, Oregon. So I road tripped with a friend from Kansas City to Portland, going to national parks on the way, and then road trip back to Kansas City after. Because it just, yeah.
And then you were just able to jump in. Who were some of the people you met first? It must have been, I'm sure were my sisters both there at the time?
Your sisters would have been there because that would have been, because they're, I think, a year either side of me because they're 2 years apart, right? Yeah. So that would have been after their freshman year and junior years of college. So I think they were there.
Because I think how it was at the time is I was a bit younger. So I remember you guys were the cool kids at the time,
See,
the cool adults. And I got to finally join the adults at some point. But I think I remember that from your first.
Yeah, it's fascinating looking back because I mostly hung out with the people who I knew who I'd met at a tournament. And I say that, but I also I'm just thinking back about the people I met. I met people in Chicago who I'd never met. I later moved to Chicago and became good friends with them. But I definitely had not met them before Congress because I hadn't been to any tournaments that far away.
There's really this national network when you go to Congress, though, that all of a sudden you could be anywhere and there's a Go Club there with people from Congress. Especially in places like Seattle, of course, that have the Go Center, but it's awesome. Oh, one of the great things was Devin Fraze, who's really involved in youth room and all kinds of stuff for the AGA. I met him when he was hitchhiking through San Francisco at a Go tournament. I think I played against him. And then he was known as this traveling Go player. He was at these clubs that were up in Washington, through probably Portland too. And then I saw him again at the Go Congress, and he had just been, now he's just like a stable part of the Go community, and it's completely awesome. But I just remember the first time I met him was that he was hitchhiking through San Francisco and just happened upon a tournament, and then I played against him. But that kind of connection is so weird and fun.
That's one of my favorite things. So I've traveled a ton, especially in my 20s. And like I decided, this was right before my first Go Congress, like the 2 weeks before my first Go Congress. I was in Spain doing Spanish lessons. I found the Go Club in Madrid and just went to Go Club there 3 days a week. Because I didn't know anybody in Madrid. And they were just like, they had a tiny bit of English. I was doing Spanish lessons. We played Go. It was great.
There's pretty much a Go Club anywhere, almost.
And that's like, I've definitely done it traveling around the country too. I mean, to be fair, I've also traveled around the country specifically to meet with Go clubs and like look them up ahead of time. But you can do that. And even crossing the middle of the country, which is where I live and where I've done this, you can find a Go club every couple of hours and go meet with people and go like have a game or whatever.
Yeah.
And that's been super fun. And usually like if you message people and reach out to them and they can meet, they will, because it's exciting to meet another Go player.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing about everyone who plays Go is that they love to teach people how to play Go. So at the Congress and at tournaments, there are always people wondering what the game is and wandering in. And there are far too many people that are just ready and willing to talk their ear off about it.
Oh yeah.
So
I brought, my cousin came to my Go Congress, and I don't think I'd even taught her how to play before. But she was just passing through, like they made a vacation out of it and came to the Go Congress in 2011. She ended up playing Parago and just like getting really involved in meeting all the people and everything, because it was just a nice vacation and good people.
I forced all my friends to come to Go Club and learn. So I'm trying to get them to go to the beginners night so that they can learn how to play Go, because we're doing a beginners night. That's this Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So if anyone is watching this,
like Julie,
and I'm teaching,
yeah.
Yeah, if anyone's watching this and they want to learn because they managed to find this, you should come on Tuesday. It's on the schedule, on the
8 p.m.
Ego Congress
Eastern.
schedule. 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. See you there.
Yeah, I brought my
everyone's super excited about teaching.
I was gonna say, my sister is super a beginner. She went to one Go tournament with me when she was in high school and I was in college, and then has come to 2 Go Congresses. The first one because she wanted to visit Colorado College, and it was when Congress was in Colorado Springs. So we took another road trip from Kansas City there along the Santa Fe Trail and like stopped at all of these places on the way. And she stayed for half a week, and then she came to New York because friends were there and I was going to be there. So she came and crashed with me and came to the Go Congress and like sat at the information desk and pretended to know things.
That's a great experience as well, to sit at an information desk and just pretend to know things and get to meet everyone.
Well,
it's like a good...
She should. Oh no, and so she's come to 3. I forgot, because the next year it was in Minneapolis. So she's like gotten to know the Go players. She'll play a game or 2 when she's with everybody at the Congress, but then she won't play again for 2 years.
It's a very low maintenance thing to be a part of, really, because there are so many people who go to the Go Congress. My mom went to the Go Congress every year, only played 2 games, and they were both the pair Go tournament with my dad. And so she still continues to be high 20 something Q level, but she would still play those 2 games every year. She would still come to the Congress and love it because she would see all the same people every single year. And
I feel like there's a good crowd of family members, like of all ages, who come because they've also made friends with people and they want to come, or because they like it as a vacation. And that's one of my favorite things about it being in a different city every year, and why I like try to continue to push for that. is that it just gives you a new chance or a chance to check out new places.
Mostly the reason I've been to any other states has been Go Congress. There are all these states where I never would have been there if it wasn't for Go Congress. And so it comes up a lot.
Because you're in California. So like,
yeah,
California has a lot and is on the one side of the country.
Right. But it was every year. So it was our family's vacation of the year. And yeah, it was awesome that it was in a different state every year. So we always got to see all these new things. And they would always have a trip in the middle of the week where you could go. I'm not sure we always went on the planned ones, but they would always have ideas for what you could do for the day off. And then you could do some kind of tourism or play in the Die Hard tournament. If you're wild and you just can't stop playing Go, then you just play Go all day on your day off.
And there's a good like 120 people who play in the Die Hard.
Oh yeah. Because Go people that's how wild everyone is. It's just they keep going.
Words.
And the other part would be when we're socializing after everything is over for the day. Usually we're socializing while playing Go. Also, everyone's in the main room still, possibly with sangria.
But Madison was great because of the pictures you could bring up from the pub in the basement.
Exactly. And you have people like James Akers who decide to order cookies for everyone somehow at 10:30 p.m., 11 p.m.
I mean, so some people are playing Go still. Some people are off doing whatever, sleeping because they want to be rested or something crazy like that. But then you also have the group of me and my friends who will have like 12 people playing or watching Resistance or One Night Ultimate Werewolf or Uno sometimes or whatever. So there's also that. But yeah, really before the pandemic, so before everyone knew what Drawful was, everybody started playing Drawful at the Madison Congress.
Wait, what's Drawful?
Drawful and all of those other like these games that you can play over the internet where like everybody's competing and everything that you can download through Steam and stuff. So there would be like 7 people playing. I'm like, what are you guys doing? I'm gonna go do work now. But
there was a lot of Resistance. There's a lot of assassin.
Yeah, it's same. Yeah.
Also,
we have people who have beta tested their own board games with Congress goers.
Their own. And then of course we have one night of the week where we just have all kinds of strange types of Go, like blind Go, 4-color Go, 3D Go, Go in the shape of various states.
In fact, one of the first times I played Go in person at a Go club, like everyone had just been to the Go Congress and I was like, what are you talking about? And we started playing Lottery Go, which is one of my favorites, where you take a certain number of stones of the opposite color and mix them up in your bowl and you're not allowed to look. And so you might accidentally play your opponent's color.
Sometimes when I explain this to people who don't play Go, I'm like, we do all these fun kinds of Go. You just, you play one color Go, or you mix some stones, someone else's stones into your bowl. Is it going to be someone else's stones? Yeah. So it's like things that we think are really exciting it's hard to get people to understand that if they don't play, but then once they play, everything becomes really, I don't know, all the different kinds of.
Well, and it's that you have a bunch of people who all want to play Go and want to like enjoy the community, even if they've never been part of it before, all in the same space. It just has a really good vibe. Like it's hard to find a bad vibe at the Go Congress. And that's one of my favorite things too.
Yeah. And I think it's also great that there's no, there's less of a strict, what's the way to put this? People hang out with everyone of all ages all the time. There's not any, what's the word for it?
Well, like barriers or anything. Like
age barriers or something. It's like everyone is a really good friend. So yeah.
And I think having the Go boards around really helps with that because you just walk over and you can watch someone play Go or ask them for a game because everyone, theoretically is wearing their name tags with their rating on it too. So you can find someone near you in terms of skill who you've never met before, play a game, and suddenly now you're friends. So one of the people we hung out with who was at their first Go Congress the last time we were in person, I played him in the open and then played board games later. And then, becomes part of, like, if you guys have things in common, you just meet someone out of, like, make a new friend. I saw him at another tournament in Columbus 6 months later. Just because everybody's there kind of trying to meet people, whether they already have friends or not.
Yeah, Go is a really easy thing to make friends doing, because if you're introverted and have a hard time talking to someone else, you're just playing the game. Yeah. And you can continue playing fun games and talking when you feel comfortable talking and not talking when you're not, focusing when you want to. So I think it's a really easy way for people who are also there are quite a few people who are socially awkward at Go Congress.
Well, and I was going to say, we're talking about all the social. So yes, the game helps, diffuse some of that social awkwardness. But I also have plenty of friends who take their games really seriously, and they will go back and go to bed at like 9 o'clock, and God bless them. I'm not. I'm going to stay up and, do poorly in my game the next day. And that's what I want to do.
Yeah, but it's just so low judgment. I mean, I went through all of my most awkward phases at Go Congress of my whole life. So
you went through your whole life. Nobody was
judgmental. My whole life. So at my worst, I was at Go Congress, and everyone's really nice. At your most awkward, everyone is just on the same page.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I feel. Not that, whatever, you go anywhere and you can have a bad experience with an individual, but that's not what's going on generally. And it's generally just a good place. I don't know. I like going to Go Congress. I miss it.
It's a safe place for people to be oddballs and just enjoy each other's company, I think, and also celebrate a really cool game. So,
and there's enough going on, like, between all of the official events, like if you're a youth in the youth room, but lectures, game reviews, simuls, whatever, those are all the official events. You have all the Wednesday official trips, but then you're in not always a city. Estes Park is not a city, it's in the mountains, but you're somewhere with things to do and people who aren't taking part in the official events too, that you can always find someone if you want to hang out with someone or go off and do something cool on your own.
Yeah, and some of my favorite congresses were actually in North Carolina at
Black Mountain
Boy Scouts. Yeah, like camp area. So people rented cabins. So my family had a cabin, and then it was really beautiful area with hiking trails all around. So you weren't anywhere near a city, but it was super fun just because everyone there was there for the Go Congress and everyone had cabins. So you could go on a hike, you could hang out at people's cabins, and I forgot where I was going with that, but basically it was awesome and not in a city.
Yeah, that one was good.
There's plenty to do.
I remember like going on random walks on all of the trails around, talking to like many of my best friends I've actually met through Go. And so some of them I have stayed really good friends with throughout the year. Some people I will only see once, maybe twice a year. And then you'll just go catch up for I will just go catch up for like an hour or two walking around. Black Mountain was great for that. New York was great. New York, I was exposed to really good food and really good wine for probably the first time. Going out to really nice restaurants with people who knew how to order not terribly expensively in New York, and it was amazing. And these are people who I really became friends with that year. Like I'd met them the previous year, but really became friends with that year.
Yeah, that was a cool one because it was in a hotel, right?
The Hotel Pennsylvania.
Yes. Yeah.
Which also features in Mad Men, which of course happened afterwards, and I just got a kick out of it every time I saw it in Mad Men.
Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't watched that show.
Yeah. So it was like right down near Chelsea. It's at like 34th and some avenue. I forget which. Anyway, but yeah, I like that it's always, and so
yeah, and
Yeah, I would say part of my role is helping figure out when we're going to have things where, and I really like being able to do that switch. So like Madison was in a city. Our next Congress, which will still be our next in-person Congress, is Estes Park, which is not in a city, and like getting that different kinds of feels to things too.
I'm really excited about that, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, Ego Congress is a fantastic alternative, but I really miss Go Congress. This is different because it's not like a whole vacation. It's a fun event that's going on throughout the week. But I love Go Congress being my vacation in the summer. So I'm definitely excited to go to Estes Park. And
yeah. No, me too. I've definitely planned it with work and with other travel. Like I always plan around even when I'm not, like when I wasn't coordinating things, I always planned it around the Go Congress.
Yeah, and one of the things we're definitely missing out on is having all of these professionals and players from around the world coming to it. I mean, I think I saw Maeda Sensei every year for since I was 7, maybe. And so then it was the weirdest thing, not having him come visit. And yeah, just a bunch of professional players who are so fun to be around. And it's so cool to have professional players, there with you, and you can be friends with them. They're not just
I remember, and I don't think he had Yoshi or anyone translating for him at this point. At my first Congress, like playing with friends and going over a game, and Maeda Sensei walks up and just starts like telling us how we should be doing the end game, but like in a really wonderful, constructive way that just like, this was the first time I'd ever met a pro, and he was just super personable and came over and started showing me what to do. And I probably have not done whatever it was that he said, but it was great.
No, he's so awesome. And also sometimes after one of my open games, he would just, he would come by occasionally and he'd be looking at it, and then he would leave, and then he would come around again a little bit later, look at it for, maybe a minute or so. And then after my game is over, he would show me a situation on the board and tell me and give me feedback and like a little lesson based on my game that he just walked past and observed for a little bit. And
That's
then,
awesome.
So yeah, you just can't get that. I don't think you can get that experience anywhere else where you'll have pros just around.
Yeah. It's, and
I go out for drinks with pros. I mean, just as normal people.
I don't normally get to go to a lot of the pro events because I'm either relaxing or rushing around doing something. But yeah, getting to go out to drinks with them, just getting to, see how many people sign up for simuls and how many people are coming to the game reviews and getting their games actively and officially reviewed. But then also I tend, like, despite the fact that I'm, here on camera talking to however many 100 people, I tend to get really shy about sharing my games in public. So the fact that I can just like take a board aside and get a friend or anyone stronger, because there's so many stronger people around, to go over my game in a way that is more comfortable for me, I love, because you can't really find that at home. So
no, but I think generally also anywhere you go to play Go, you'll always have people that are willing to jump in and give a little bit, even if they're not professionals. There are plenty of people with great advice, far stronger than I am, that are super happy to do a little lesson or give feedback too. You can go over your games with them also. So that's always a normal part of it.
Or like go over it with your opponent afterwards, and then someone will come by and ask if, who will be 5 stones stronger than you, come by and ask if they can make some comments. And yeah, I've
been totally spoiled because I can like ask my dad or my brother who are way stronger than I am.
Yeah.
Basically, I also play lightning. I play lightning games with my brother where we play even, and it's basically just we finish the game. I'm always like 50 points behind at least at the end, but I still
like your brother's 7 done.
Yeah, so we're playing like lightning go even game, and then it's just how quickly do I resign or just play to the end for fun? And I'm easily over 50 points behind.
Yeah. That's kind of awesome.
If I'm lucky. But yeah, it's really fun having all of them there. Hopefully they'll all be there next time. One of my sisters hasn't come for a little bit, so maybe, I know once my nieces are old enough, I think then it's going to start, she wants them to play Go.
So a
she'll
third
start taking them.
generation?
So they'll come, oh yeah, it's happening. Well, Quentin came
I
when he was
know.
1 to his first one. So my nephew, yeah, so he's, so yeah, there's gonna be a third generation.
But he wasn't playing Go at 1. He was just wandering around the e-journal room.
No. He was getting babysat by
Everyone.
various AGA board members and you.
Yeah.
She would just be in the AGA e-journal room, and it would become a little daycare for Quentin running around.
One of the things that we were going to do for 2020 that we're still going to try to do for 2022 is have events for first-time attendees too. Because it can, like, going anywhere where you maybe know one other person, or you know one person from club and 2 people from online, and you never met the online people in person, can be daunting. And so we want to have a way for people who have never actually been in person to meet each other and get to know, like, kind of have a cohort, and then get to go meet everybody else, not just being by themselves, if they want that too.
Yeah, that's a really good idea.
Yeah, so we have had a couple of different ideas, and then we stopped planning them when, we had to postpone everything. But we have a bunch of ideas. So hey, if there's anybody watching who remembers, a recent experience being a first-time attendee and you want to help shepherd people through, let me know. But yeah, because we want, like, I think, or one of the goals when we were talking about this was to try to make sure that everybody feels as much a part of the community as you and I do.
Yeah. I can imagine it would be very different if I was just coming in now.
And like,
because I think at this point,
yeah,
most of the people there are people that I've known for a while. Or watched me grow up, like remember me when I was tiny.
Yeah, my first one, I knew people. I knew Keith because I'd been going to his club.
Right, Baltimore.
I don't think I knew Steve. Sathya hadn't been there yet, so I didn't know him. But I'm trying to think, like, I came and I was 19 and I was the guardian for a 16-year-old from our club.
Oh, wow.
And we stayed.
Yeah, what was that like?
I mean, as the person who signs off on this, we now encourage guardians to be 21 because, it makes more sense. Don't require it. We did have someone who turned 18 the first day of Congress be his friend's guardian. Both of them were 17, 18, fine. Both parents signed off, whatever. I have no idea who that was, but that happened once.
I mean, the crew tends to be pretty, like, mature, good people. So I don't think that's been a worry.
No, it's just, you want someone, like, the 16-year-old didn't have a car, so I drove us to Go Congress. That kind of thing. And then we were staying, this was in Lancaster, so we were staying at the Congress director's house with a bunch of other college kids because we were all too cheap to be able to afford the dorms. And the Congress director was not staying at his house, so he just let like 10 college students stay there. And we slept on sleeping bags on the floor. I am not joking. So I could afford to go to my first Go Congress because that's what I did.
Wow. There are actually quite a few people who end up crashing on people's floors for Go Congress.
Oh, yeah. Another year, a couple of times I've stayed for free places. Like I stayed with my sister when it was in the city where she lives. And but I also did an extended stay America with like 4 other people one year. That was a 5-minute drive, except for when you get stuck for 5 minutes at the light, which then makes you 15 minutes late for the open because you're already late.
Because you were already late.
Yep. So I've done that too.
So exactly what we're doing now, where I'm getting to talk to Lisa, is basically the kind of thing that I would really miss, particularly about Go Congress and it being an Ego Congress. So that's why I'm hosting social events, basically hangouts on Zoom this Sunday and next Sunday, which is awesome because I think last time we had at least 35 or so people that were like really.
One of them had like 100 people, at least briefly, I think, didn't it? Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought it was.
I think I did split. I think I did have to split the room.
Yeah.
At one point for one of. Yeah, you're right. But now I'm forgetting how many people. But anyway, at least like a good group of people that have all mostly gone to congresses for a long time and are very entertaining people generally to listen to. You probably just listen to one of them, at least maybe two of them.
Yeah.
Really entertaining people.
I was going to say, yeah, but like with a good group of people who have maybe been to one Congress and got to go to the Ego Congress, but they can't usually travel or have not got, like, I felt like it was most of the people I wanted to make sure I saw and a whole bunch of people I hadn't met before.
Yes. Yeah, there were a bunch of people I hadn't met, including Eva, who is somewhat a part of this, but
yeah.
But that was really awesome. So that was the first. Oh, and getting that whole experience where we had the Zoom going, people were playing games for fun during the Zoom call, and it ended up going until I think 3 a.m, but Ava could correct me on that. Yeah, this Sunday or next Sunday, just come through. It doesn't matter if you've never played a game of Go before. I mean, I'm sure someone would be happy also to take you to go into a breakout room and then actually just teach you how to play Go right in that event easily.
Yeah,
any of them. All of them probably will try, and you'll just have to pick one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone, for that wonderful session. I'm sure that you guys have enjoyed the stories as much as I have listening to them. And, you know, sometimes when you hear about these things, you just want to go to Congress a bit more badly. So let's bring that kind of sentiment to 2022. Now, before we go, there's one last thing I'd like to bring your attention to. We do have a very special event with one of our international guests from Korea. This Wednesday, we will have a special talk given to us by Professor Daniela Trinks from Myongji University in Korea. You may have seen their name mentioned in our list of sponsors. They're very happy to offer us a few game review sessions as well with Yoon Young Kim, 8-dan professional, Diana Kozegi, 1-dan professional, as well as Kim Sung-jin, Blackie, 9-dan professional. So, just at the very end of the opening ceremony, I'm going to let Professor Trinks explain that a little bit more.
Hello everyone, I'm Daniela Trinks from the Department of Baduk Studies at Myongji University in South Korea. As you can tell, I'm not Korean, I'm from Germany originally, but I've been living since 2006 in South Korea. And I've been visiting 22 Go Congresses, including 3 US Go Congresses, so I'm a huge fan of Go Congresses. And I'm real glad that the AGA continues this tradition with this Ego Congress. So I was thinking how I could contribute to this Congress, and I came up with 3 ideas I'd like to share shortly with you. First of all, I have prepared a short quiz for you on the Department of Baduk Studies with 10 questions, which you can join until July 21st, 10:30 p.m. And 6 people can win a game review with either Kim Yoon-young 8-dan or Kashigi Diana 1-dan. If you find this quiz a little bit too difficult to solve it on your own, feel free to join my lecture, which will be held on Wednesday, July 21st from 10 to 11 p.m. So in the first part of the lecture, I'm going to talk a little bit about some general information and my own experience, and also introduce a few of our students and graduates of our department. And in the second part of the lecture, you can ask me any questions related to that, and I'm going to announce the prize winners. The session will be held on Zoom, and I believe you can find the link in the schedule on the Congress website. And as I told you, you can win a game review. And this game review session will be held on Saturday, July 24th from 8 to 11 p.m. And these game reviews will be given by two of our gradiates, which is Kim Yoon-young 8 dan and Koshigi Diana 1 dan. And Diana will be joined by Kim Sun-jung 9 dan. So I hope you will try your best in the quiz and perhaps be one of the lucky ones who get their game reviewed on that during that session. Let me wrap up by summarizing the 3 events one more time. There will be a quiz held from today until 21st, 10:30. And if you find the quiz too difficult, feel free to come to my lecture and learn more about the Department of Go Studies at Myongji University. And those who win a game review can see their game reviewed by 3 professionals on the 24th. However, this game review session is open to everybody. It will be held on the AGA Twitch channel. Alright, I wish you a wonderful Go Congress with lots of good games and interesting meetings with other Go players from all around the world. Thank you.
All right, that's all we have for you for the opening ceremony of the 2021 eGo Congress. Keep in mind that the first round of the eGo Open will begin at 4 p.m. Eastern Time today. That is very soon from now. So please go get ready, and we'll be seeing you very soon. Bye for now.